Chapter 513. The number one young warrior of the southern regions is finally here. Indeed. From today onwards, Yi Chen is the number one young sword artist of the southern regions, and also the number one warrior, without a doubt. Who dares to argue? Even Kui Yinghao and Ling Luohan couldn't take a single sword attack from Yi Chen. His power has already reached an unimaginable level, completely surpassing Li Xiaoyun, Princess Jing, and Chu Zhongtian. He has walked ahead of everyone and ascended to the throne. The people of the southern regions were very excited, their bodies were shaking. They were excited for Yi Chen beating Kui Yinghao and Ling Luohan, but also shocked by the fact that Yi Chen had become the number one young warrior of the southern regions for many years. Although Li Xiaoyun had the title of the number one young warrior, a lot of people still didn't want to admit it, because he didn't beat all of his opponents, and was only the number one warrior. But now, Yi Chen had beaten Kui Yinghao and Ling Luohan, which meant that he had indirectly beaten Li Xiaoyun and the other two. The title of the number one young warrior could not be shaken off even if he wanted to. Number 1. In the tower 10 miles away, Luo Hanshan's eyes were shining as he murmured unconsciously. Those who were close to Yi Chen all had the same expression on their faces. They had almost watched Yi Chen climb to the top step by step from a weak existence to a legendary warrior. This feeling was 10 times stronger than the others, and it was hard for them to understand. How did you do it? Ling Luohan covered his chest with his hand and slowly stood up. He was not wounded too badly, mainly because Yi Chen had shown him mercy. After all, from the beginning till now, Ling Luohan's words and actions had never been out of line. At most, he was a blade maniac. Yi Chen said blandly, "If you only use one blade attack at a time, you will lose sooner or later." Lose in this aspect? Ling Luohan was confused. Ever since he had set a personal rule of only using one blade at a time, his blade art had improved by leaps and bounds within a year. Normal blade artists were no match for him, and even if he were to encounter a warrior of the same level, he would be able to defeat them in a short period of time. You've already gone down the wrong path. Although you can progress quickly on the wrong path, the further you go, the slower your progress will be. In the end, you will come to a standstill. You still have time to change now, but if you go too deep, it will be very difficult to change in the future. Yi Chen was not a friend of the other parties. Hence, the most he could do was to share his views on the Saber Dao. As for whether the other party listened or not, that had nothing to do with him. No matter what, thank you. Ling Luohan cupped his fists and returned to the Snow Iron Region tea house. He had actually forgotten about Kui Yinghao down there. Perhaps, he did not care about Kui Yinghao at all. All he cared about was his own blade Dao. Damn it. Kui Yinghao, who was bathed in blood, could only feel the sword qi rampaging through his meridians. If he hadn't found enough spirit energy crystals in an ancient tomb and cultivated a spirit body, his meridians would have been broken long ago, and he would have become a temporary cripple. Yi Chen shot a glance at Kui Yinghao. Honestly, Kui Yinghao and Ling Luohan were not that bad. After all, the former was a genius assassin, and the latter had defeated Jing Aoshuan and tied with Chu Zhongtian. However, the thing that the two should not have done was to play tricks with Yi Chen. Tricks, tricks, tricks. If they did not play this well, they would lose very quickly. If they had fought with Yi Chen honestly, they would not have lost so badly. Especially, in Yi Chen's eyes, the skills of the two had obviously gone down the wrong path. The former thought that if he was fast enough and stealthy enough, he would be able to kill invisibly. However, he did not know that the core of an assassin was to kill with one strike. If he did not kill with one strike, he would have to retreat 1,000 miles away. In order to become an assassin, one would have to give up a lot of things. The latter thought that he would only throw out one blade attack at a time, which would increase his efficiency. However, the Saber Dao was just like the Sword Dao, it was broad and profound. If he only threw out one blade attack at a time, how would he be able to push it to the peak? Yi Chen did not need to use any killing moves against these two, because if he did, he would have to fight them head-on. Since the others were playing tricks with him, there was no need for him to use brute force to break through their tricks. That way, he would not be able to take care of them in one move. Therefore, he only needed to use his normal fast sword to take care of the problem. The fast sword was very fast, without any impurities. Combined with his slaughter sword intent, its power was actually very impressive. Cutting open Kui Yinghao's protective Jin Yuan was not a problem at all. Ling Luohan only threw out one blade attack at a time, which in Yi Chen's eyes was full of flaws. When his own sword speed was faster than his blade speed, throwing out one blade attack at a time would be a joke. The reason why he could make it this far was because the others were not as fast as him. In the tea house of Snow Iron region, Bloodhound Tang Jie's pupils shrank as he stared at Yi Chen in a daze. He had never seen such a frightening sword artist before. Shadowless Whip Kui Yinghao could not even last one sword attack, and the one-blade Ling Luohan could not even last one sword attack. Since when did such a frightening sword artist appear in the southern regions? Not bad, not bad. Xie Zhiqiu clapped his hands and stood up, looking at Yi Chen with a big smile. Your skills are rare even in the Sky Martial region. Even Kui Yinghao and Ling Luohan had lost in your hands. However, have you ever heard of this saying? No matter how good a skill is, it still needs to be based on one's own strength. Without a solid foundation, the so-called skills would just be a circus. Hearing this, Ling Luohan frowned. Xie Zhiqiu's words had dragged him into the water as well, even though he had to admit that Xie Zhiqiu's strength was not something that could be beaten with skills. Yi Chen lifted up his eyes. Come down and try, and you will know. Of course, if we don't sweep the southern regions, then coming here would be meaningless. Xie Zhiqiu waved his hand, and an invisible force covered Kui Yinghao, dragging him into the tea house. He then moved his feet slightly and appeared in front of Yi Chen within a blink. I will beat you within 100 attacks. Xie Zhiqiu did not have the confidence to beat Yi Chen within 10 to 30 attacks, just like how he could not beat one-blade Ling Luohan within 10 attacks. Make your move. Yi Chen did not have a top-rank long sword on his waist, but 3 swords in a scabbard. Facing warriors below the Sea of Soul's realm, 3 swords in a scabbard would be enough. Boom. Xie Zhiqiu's attack was very sudden. Without moving his body, he threw out a fist attack. The black fist chi formed into a huge skull and attacked toward Yi Chen's face. When the skull was about to land, it opened its mouth and let out a strange howl. The miserable sound wave made people confused and unable to concentrate. Yi Chen had a firm will and was not affected at all. Before Xie Zhiqiu threw out his fist attack, he had already sensed the latter's fist aura. Lifting his hand, the thunder sword bounced up and a sky thunder cut through the sound wave, shattering the skull. The sword chi and fist chi exploded. Reverse sky thunder cut. Stepping forward with his left foot, Yi Chen's killing attack followed right after. Holding the destruction sword in a reverse grip, the sword light slashed out. Not bad. Xie Zhiqiu was not surprised at all. As a warrior of the demonic arts, he had seen a lot of strange martial arts. He had even seen sword arts that were even more unusual than the reverse sky thunder cut. What surprised him was that the reverse sky thunder cut was obviously a reverse attack of the sky thunder cut, which complemented each other seamlessly. Pop, pop, pop. Xie Zhiqiu backed out. As he was backing out, layers of black chi walls appeared in front of him, cancelling out the reverse sky thunder cut's attack. Demonic chi power spell. Backing out 100 meters, the black chi flow behind Xie Zhiqiu's back surged, turning into a bone demon. There was a red flame burning in its pupils. Although it was a flame, it did not feel hot at all. Instead, it was cold and gloomy, as if it was a strange flame made of yin chi and ice chi. Crack, crack. The bone demon screamed into the sky, and the black sound wave spread out. Within miles, only a couple of people were not affected by the sound wave, while the rest of them were all tensed up. It's not a bloodline. It should be a demonic profound art. Demonic beast phantoms appeared behind one's back out of thin air. However, the bone demon behind Xie Zhiqiu was clearly formed from Jin Yuan and operated with profound. There was a fundamental difference between the two. Judging from the aura emitted by the bone demon, it was clearly not a low-grade profound martial skill, but a mid-grade profound martial skill. Its profoundness could only be created by a life and death king. Sword intent radiated from his body, annihilating the black sound wave as soon as it approached. Yi Chen indifferently gazed at Xie Zhiqiu. With the bone demon completely formed, Xie took a large step forward and punched toward Yi Chen. Woo! 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 The fist chi was like a ghost wailing and wolf howling, more than 10 to 20% stronger than before. Xie laughed heartily. Demonic chi power spell can amplify battle power 10 times. Dealing with you, it only needs 2 times. You're the one who can't do it. Of course, Yi Chen would not believe that Xie could perform a mid-rank profound sense martial art to 100%. To be able to perform 20 to 30% would already be impressive. But, from this, it could be seen that Xie had indeed received the teachings of a couple of king warriors. Otherwise, he would not be able to have a mid-rank profound sense martial art. Golden resonant radiance sword. Holding the sword with both hands, Yi Chen's thunder sword vibrated at an astonishing frequency. The cyan sword light was instantly dyed with a layer of gold as the sword chopped toward the opponent's fist. Clang! Blazing sparks filled the sky, and fist-sized holes appeared on the stage, looking like a beehive. The black fist chi on Xie fist dissipated, and he couldn't help but retreat several steps. The bone demon behind him also swayed. Xie was beaten back. Inside Snow Iron Region's tea house, everyone was somewhat astonished. Humph! Xie coldly snorted as his 2 fists collided in front of his chest, releasing a surging chi wave. Demon Chi 10 power spell, 3 power combined. All of a sudden, Xie aura became even stronger, and his fist aura became even more ferocious. Half of the stage had been dyed black, a ghostly black color. Facing this fist, Yi Chen didn't back out. Instead, he moved forward, crossing his 2 swords in front of him, performing the Sky Thundercut and the Reverse Sky Thundercut. Boom! The entire manor was shaking. A violent shock wave exploded between the 2 of them, spreading out at a speed 10 times faster than the speed of sound. It rushed out of the manor and rushed out for more than 100 miles. Crack! Crack! Countless fine cracks appeared on the rock walls of the surrounding mountains, spreading out wantonly like creepers. Even with 3 amplifications, I still can't beat him. Rubbing his feet on the stage, Xie whole body slid out. Black chi surged. Boom! A corner of the stage was blown away. Xie stopped and quickly formed a seal with both of his hands. At the same time, the 2 arms of the bone demon stabbed into his shoulders. All of a sudden, his aura skyrocketed, making him look like a demon. Chapter 514. Hundreds of meters away, Yi Chen quietly watched the ever-changing Xie. Strands of sword chi curled up around his body, giving off a layer of blue vibe. Hee. Xie raised his head, and issued a strange laughter that didn't sound like that of a human being. His arms were covered by a layer of black light film. The light film then combined into the shape of a huge arm skeleton. At the end of the skeleton was a palm leaf fan-sized skeletal palm. Each finger was a foot long, and the nails were sharp. They were curved into hooks, and were glistening with a dark gray halo. The demonic chi power top 10 spell can increase the battling power as well as contain killing attacks. You should be proud of being able to push me to this level. Now, I will completely suppress you. Shoo. Just as he finished speaking, Xie jumped toward Yi Chen at an extreme speed. His right arm, which was covered by the bone demon's arm, waved out, leaving 5 black claw marks in the air. It reached Yi Chen within a blink of an eye. Chin. Yi Chen waved out a sword attack to block out the bone demon's arm. The power contained in the bone demon's arm was unimaginably huge. It was like a giant waving its palm, blowing away Yi Chen along with his sword. Get down. Xie chased after him as the bone demon's arm turned into a fist, throwing out a punch. Gold resonant radiance sword. Even in the air, Yi Chen's posture did not change at all. Seeing the incoming fist, he threw out a 60% trained gold resonant radiance sword attack. Beautiful sparks flew everywhere as Yi Chen was blown away once again. That bone demon's arm was indeed a super powerful existence. Not only did it have a horrifying defense, but its attacking power had also surpassed 60% trained profound sense martial arts. It was like the bone demon had been reborn, and its power was boundless. You have no chance at all. Lose. No one knew the terror of the demonic Chi power top 10 spell better than Xie. When he had gotten the jade letter containing the profound sense martial arts of the demonic Chi power top 10 spell, he had been shocked by the images inside. It was only one punch, but it had shattered a falling star that had a diameter of hundreds of miles. Even normal king warriors would have to back out of its way. Crack. Bone Devil's arms became even tighter as he attacked at an extremely high speed. In the process of retreating, it was clearly impossible for Yi Chen to dodge, but he didn't need to. He raised his left hand, extended his index finger, and lightly tapped. Then, a frightening scene occurred. A 1-meter-long cyan-colored finger as thick as a thigh burst out, and firmly pressed on Xie Qiu's Bone Devil's fist. The fist of the Bone Devil, which had an extremely frightening defensive power, was like a fragile crystal. It exploded with a pop sound. Then, the Bone Devil's arm was affected, and exploded into pieces. Xie Qiu's body shook violently as he was connected to the Bone Devil's arm. Blood flowed out of his 7 apertures, and he even spouted a stream of blood from his mouth. What kind of finger technique is this? Xie Qiu was sent flying like a meteor. His face was full of fright. Putting the thunder sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen said indifferently, "Although I really don't want to say it, my strongest attack is not sword arts, but finger arts." When he had returned from the underground world and traveled through the void through the undying altar, Yi Chen had already comprehended the void-shattering finger art to 30%. 30% might sound low, but the void-shattering finger art did not contain any ordinary profound, but the extremely rare space profound. Time was the king, and space was the most powerful profound. Without the time profound, space profound would be the strongest profound, and all other profounds would be restrained by it. The void-shattering finger art was not a single movement, but a set. Yi Chen had obtained the third movement. If the first and second movements were low-grade profound martial arts, then even if the third movement was not a mid-grade profound martial art, it would still be somewhere between mid and low-grade, and its power had completely reached the level of a mid-grade profound martial art. If it was not necessary, Yi Chen would not use the third movement of the void-shattering finger art, because it was his ace attack. Once it was revealed, it would be the time to kill. Right now, he used it not because he wanted to kill Xie Qiu, but because he had another ace attack that was not weaker than the third movement of the void-shattering finger art, which was the Lotus Heart Sword Qi. By itself, the Lotus Heart Sword Qi might not be as powerful as the third movement of the void-shattering finger art, but when the Lotus Heart Sword Qi turned into a sword Qi storm, its power would not be any weaker, and its attacking range would be even greater than the third movement of the void-shattering finger art. It could be considered as Yi Chen's most powerful killing attack. The most powerful attack is actually not the sword art, but the finger art. So shocking. A true dragon can soar into the sky, and no one can stop it. So what if it is the East Demon Xie Qiu? He is still not an opponent for Yi Chen when he gets serious. So powerful. Is this Yi Chen's real power? Not only people from the southern region, even people from the Snow Iron region were shocked, especially Ling Luohan, Qiyinghao, and Tang Jie. They had come to this martial tea gathering to sweep the entire gathering, and everything had been going smoothly, and they had almost succeeded. But in the end, a single Yi Chen had ruined all of their efforts, and made them fall into such a situation. Now, even the East Demon Xie Qiu was not an opponent for him, so who else could stop Yi Chen? I had never thought that Yi Chen would grow to such a horrifying level. I really wonder if he came from our Sky Cloud Martial School. Lu Hanshan's face was filled with disbelief. Zhumai said, "Dragons can be big or small, they can hide in swamps, they can also soar into the sky, and they can create clouds and rain." Without a doubt, Yi Chen is a true dragon that has descended into the Sky Cloud Martial School. Before this, it was his dormant period. Once he shows his power and grows his claws and teeth, it will be the time for him to soar into the sky. I, the East Demon, have not lost yet. Fire Demon God Palm. The bone demon behind him disappeared, merging back into his body. Xie Qiu's hands burned with a bright red flame, seeming like an inextinguishable flame. He abruptly stepped on the platform, stabilized his body, and waved both of his hands, throwing out 2 flame palms. Boom! Within the torrent-like flame, A sharp demon claw could be faintly seen. It was a palm that looked like a human, yet not a demon, and contained the will of fire. Seeing that Xie Qiu still had such a powerful martial art, everyone was shocked. He was indeed worthy of being the East Demon Xie Qiu. If it were someone else, they would have been defeated long ago, and would not have been able to push him to such a desperate situation. Thinking up to here, everyone could feel the terror of Yi Chen from the bottom of their hearts. Yi Chen shook his head as he pointed out his right index finger. The next second, a stone pillar-like finger appeared in the air. It was 10 meters long and 1 meter thick. The fingerprints were blurry, but it was still emitting a transparent halo like a shooting star. With one finger, this finger had destroyed Xie Qiu's flame palm power, and pressed onto his protective Jinyuan layer like a hot knife through butter. Boom! Finally, the battling platform could not bear the repeated attacks anymore, and was instantly torn apart, collapsing from the two sides to the center. Meanwhile, Xie Qiu was pressed onto the ground by the huge finger, his hair disheveled. At this moment, the East Demon Xie Qiu looked miserable. However, the calm Yi Chen made everyone suck in a cold breath from the bottom of their hearts. Even someone as powerful as Xie Qiu could not have an easy time against him, and ended up in such a miserable state. Chapter 5:15. Xie Qiu has lost. Kui Yinghao and Tang Jie looked at Xie Qiu, who was being pressed on the ground by the huge finger. They could tell that he could not move at all, as if he was being pressed by a mountain. In front of him, Yi Chen, who was dressed in blue, was still in his finger-pointing posture, looking very calm. The East Demon Xie Qiu was not a flower in a greenhouse. He was the ghost grass in the wild grassland, growing up through slaughter and ascending through slaughter. His achievements were not fake at all, they were all from real battles. Those who doubted him were either trampled under his feet, or had their souls shattered. His most shocking action was that he had gone to the Sky Martial region alone. The Sky Martial region was the center of the continent, where the geniuses were as numerous as the carps in the river. It was not only the gathering place of geniuses, but also the birthplace of monsters. Wanting to make a name for oneself was as hard as climbing up to the sky. Countless people had been beaten black and blue, and had left in low spirits. However, Xie Qiu had done something that others could not, and had spread the title of East Demon in the Sky Martial region, gaining him quite a bit of fame. But what was going on right now? The East Demon Xie Qiu had been beaten by a young man who had not even walked out of the southern regions, and had no power to fight back. In the end, he was lying on the ground with no face left. If it were not for the fact that it would hurt if they pinched themselves, they would have thought that they were dreaming. Ling Luohan took a deep breath and said to the two, "Don't look at me in disbelief. There is no reason for the birth of monsters. If there could be an East Demon Xie Qiu, then there could be another Yi Chen. In this era, there is no such thing as the strongest, only stronger." To be honest, even he himself was shocked. How could it be such a coincidence that they had met a Yi Chen, and a Yi Chen had beaten them all to the ground? Pop! The huge finger containing the space mentality disappeared as Yi Chen said lightly, "You can leave now. There is no need for me to invite you in person, right?" Cough cough. Xie Qiu slowly stood up while coughing out blood. "Good, very good. This is the first time I, Xie Qiu, have lost outside of the Sky Martial region. You are the first, and you will be the last. Wait for my return. The day I return will be the day of your nightmare. Today's humiliation will be returned 100-fold. It was not that Xie Qiu had never been defeated before. However, those who defeated him were all geniuses of the Sky Martial domain. Most of them had already been trampled underfoot by him. He believed that Yi Chen would be the next one to be trampled underfoot ruthlessly. I've heard these words countless times. Unfortunately, they are getting further and further away from me. I can't even see hope. Do you think you have hope? Yi Chen didn't take Xie Qiu's threat seriously. In fact, he actually hoped that someone would challenge him. But the prerequisite was that they had sufficient strength. "Mph, how could you possibly understand my future achievements? You're just a stepping stone for me. One day, I'll step on you and reach even greater heights." Hearing this, Yi Chen shook his head and chuckled, "Get lost. I'm waiting for you to step on me. Go. Xie Zhiqiu flew out of the manor with a pale face. Then, Ling Luohan, Tang Jie, and Kuiyinghao also flew out of the tea house, flying towards the north. The manor was silent for a while before it suddenly boiled up, defeating the 4 top young warriors of the eastern regions with his own power. When had anyone in the southern regions ever done this before? In the past 1,000 years, only Xianhu and Yi Chen had done it. In other words, Yi Chen's current achievements could already be compared with Xuanho's. Until the very end, no one could say for sure. Yi Chen, congratulations. From now on, you are the king of the young generation of our southern regions. Li Xiaoyun was the first one to go downstairs to congratulate him. Yi Chen didn't care, it's just an empty title. An empty title could easily make people obsessed. Taking it too seriously would just be asking for trouble. Hehe, whether it's an empty title or a real one, you deserve this position. However, the throne is not that easy to sit on. In the future, the glory of the southern regions will be closely related to you. Even if you want to stay out of it, you won't be able to. There are some things that won't work according to your will. Yi Chen nodded. Having come this far, he couldn't back out anymore. Then, everyone went downstairs to congratulate Yi Chen. At this point, there was no longer any suspense. Even Jing Aoshuan and Chu Zhongtian had accepted this result. What else could they do if they didn't accept it? If they had the ability, they could go beat Xie Zhiqiu and the others. In fact, they should be glad that Yi Chen was here. Otherwise, this tea gathering would have been the most humiliating one. Now, they understood that the throne was not something ordinary people could sit on. Without the power, sitting on it would only be a joke, and they could be beaten down at any time. The next morning, the tea gathering had come to an end. Xie Zhiqiu's incident had added a legendary color to this tea gathering. Perhaps people would forget about the previous tea gatherings, but they would never forget this one. The tea gathering's end was not the real end. When the news spread out, and everyone knew that Yi Chen had officially become the #1 warrior of the southern region, all the martial institutions gasped. This growth speed was way too fast. In the last tea gathering, he was only on par with Li Xiaoyun and the other 2, with a slight advantage. How could he leave them in the dust after only 2 years? Yi Chen could no longer be described as a genius. Only a monster would be more suitable. The South Rudra region was already shocking enough, and the other regions were even more shocked. They had no doubt that as long as Yi Chen could continue to grow, he would definitely reach the life and death realm. Moreover, they believed that once Yi Chen entered the life and death realm, he would definitely surpass normal king warriors. Perhaps he would be like Xianhu, becoming a top king warrior in a couple of years. This kid cannot be left alive. Back then, one Xianhu had already made us lose a lot. With another Yi Chen, I am afraid that even when our leader recovers his peak power, he would not be able to do anything. Inside a secret underground manor, a group of mysterious people in black robes gathered together. Isn't it a bit too exaggerated? He is not even a Sea of Souls realm warrior yet. He is still far away from the life and death realm. Stupid. Have you forgotten about Xianhu? It is because we underestimated her that we ended up in this situation. Killing him while he is still weak is the best choice. Otherwise, once he grows stronger, no one will be able to do anything to him. In that case, let me do it. Just in case, we have to kill him with one attack this time, because there is still a South Rudra martial school in the Windy Nation. I suspect that there is more than one Long Bai there. Perhaps there will be other Sea of Souls realm warriors, and even master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. Therefore, we will not have a second chance. Ghost Cry, Ink Wolf, you two move together and kill this kid once. Don't worry. Although we are not master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors, killing a brat who is not even fully grown yet will be a piece of cake. Just wait for the good news. Shoo. Shoo. 2 people in black robes were gone. Nightmare, you follow them. The leading man in black robes seemed to be worried as he said to the shadow hidden in the darkness behind him. Yes, second master. A dry voice was heard, but the shadow had already disappeared. Chapter 516. After Yi Chen had won the title of the number 1 young warrior of the southern region, the Sky Cloud Martial School had held a celebration for 3 days. One could not blame the Sky Cloud Martial School for being so grand, but the fact that the number 1 young warrior of the southern region was just too shocking. The population of the southern region was more than hundreds of billions, and among those trillions, there were at least 100 billion young warriors under the age of 30. The number 1 among 100 billion, just thinking about it made people's hair stand on end. And what was Yi Chen's background? The Yi family, a rank 8 family, the Sky Cloud Martial School, a rank 7 martial institution. Other than that, there was nothing special about him. If Yi Chen was a disciple of a rank 5 martial institution, it might not be so sensational, but he was just a nameless brat before. When Yi Chen returned to the Yi family did not want to be left behind. They held a celebration for 3 days. By this time, Yi Chen's golden statue had already been built. If everything went well, this golden statue would become the symbol of Luo City. In the next 10,000 years, or even 100,000 years, it would be a legendary statue. If anyone wanted to build their own statue in Luo City, they would have to be as powerful as or even more powerful than Yi Chen. But of course, the chance was very slim. One Luo City, no, one Windy Nation, with one Yi Chen, was already a miracle. Who would dare to hope for another genius like Yi Chen? Although the celebration lasted for 3 days, Yi Chen had only shown his face once, and spent the rest of his time training. Yeah. He is about to complete the slaughter sword spirit. Inside the secret room in the yard, the spot between Yi Chen's eyebrows was expanding and contracting. The dark red sword intent spread out uncontrollably, making the spot between Yi Chen's eyebrows look like a shining gem. Pa! A sound that did not belong to this world was heard. Inside Yi Chen's soul ocean, a world-shaking change had happened. The surface of the ancient-looking long sword, which represented the slaughter sword spirit, started to crack. Pieces of iron skin fell off. As the iron skin fell off, a crystal-like dark red light leaked out. The dark red light was so sharp that it made the slaughter sword spirit look like a huge glowing object, releasing thousands of dark red sword light beams. The sword light swept across, dispersing part of the dark fog in the soul ocean, lighting up the whole world. Roar! An earth-shattering sword cry rang out, and the iron sheet finally peeled off completely. The ancient long sword had completely changed. Its entire body looked as if it had been forged from a dark red crystal, and its edges were incomparably sharp. On the body of the sword, lines of blood spread out, emitting an endless aura of slaughter. Slaughter sword spirit, done. Before Yi Chen could even let out a sigh of relief, an unparalleled slaughter sword will suddenly gushed out from the center of his eyebrows. With a rumble, the entire courtyard was split into 2. The terrifying sword will instantly absorbed a large amount of yuan qi, forming a blood-red sword qi that tore through the sky. What happened? Yi Tianhao, Shen Yuqing, and many other elders of the Yi clan rushed over. Whoosh! A figure flew out. It was Yi Chen. Father, mother, I'm about to make a breakthrough. I'll be leaving the clan for a while. After saying that, before Yi Tianhao and his wife could react, he turned into a streak of light and flew away. Breakthrough. Is it breaking through to the Sea of Souls realm? Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing's faces were filled with shock as they gasped. To the north of Luo City was a continuous mountain range called the South Rudra Mountain Range. There were a lot of demonic beasts there, and they reproduced extremely fast. It was the training ground for the Rudra Martial School's disciples. Shoo! A beam of light sliced through the sky, diving into the depths of the South Rudra Mountain Range. I did not expect that I would be able to break through to the Sea of Souls realm so soon after the completion of the Slaughter Sword Spirit. The gate between the Astral Reaching Realm and the Sea of Souls realm is called the Mortal Transformation Gate. Once I make it through, my lifespan will increase by 100 years, reaching 300 years. It is also because of the importance of the Mortal Transformation Gate. On top of the mountain, the Zhen Yuan vibration on Yi Chen's body was extremely unstable, causing the weather to change and the Yuan Qi to surge crazily. All of the demonic beasts within 100 miles were scared into hiding in their nests, shivering as they looked at where Yi Chen was at the same time. Boom! The surprising sky cracked open for no reason, and beams of thunder and lightning struck down. Although the thunder and lightning had become impure after leaving the surprising sky, it still contained the nature's will, which was even more powerful than the martial will, since it was formed by the rules. Crack! A couple of mountains nearby were shattered, and the thunder and fire splashed everywhere. Only when one got closer did they realize that the power of the thunder and lightning had actually reached deep into the ground, creating huge pits of unknown depth. Woo! Right at this moment, the Zhen Yuan in Yi Chen's body exploded. It followed the top of Yi Chen's head straight up into the sky, connecting with stunning sky. Originally, the thunder and lightning were attacking randomly, but after being guided by Yi Chen's Zhen Yuan, they suddenly found a target and fell down, drowning Yi Chen within the thunder ocean. Break! Yi Chen held his sword with one hand and sliced open the thunder ocean. Although the thunder ocean had been sliced open, the nature's will contained in it still managed to hit Yi Chen's sea of soul, causing huge waves to rise up. Nature's will, soul. I see. It was not that the nature's will did not have any destructive power. Once Yi Chen's sword intent could not compete with it, his sea of soul would be completely destroyed, and his soul would be destroyed. On the other hand, if the sword intent could fight against the nature's will would refine the sea of soul, making the soul stronger and purer. Of course, the nature's will would change according to the warrior's will. The more powerful the warrior's will, the more powerful the nature's will would be. Therefore, warriors with a weak will would have a higher chance of reaching the Sea of Soul's realm, provided that they had the chance to do so. Yi Chen's sword intent was just too powerful, and the natural will that he had triggered was just as powerful. After the first wave of thunder disaster, the second wave appeared in the sky. This time, it was not in the shape of a beam, but in the form of thunderballs. The thunderballs smashed down one after another, creating earth-shattering explosions. Sky thunder cut. Countless blue sword lights blossomed, cutting open all of the incoming thunderballs. Only the nature's will, which was invisible and formless, attacked into Yi Chen's Sea of Soul. With his slaughter sword intent, Yi Chen was able to fight against the nature's will as easily as eating or drinking. He was not hurt at all, and instead, his soul had become even more powerful. Boom! 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 The third wave of thunder disaster arrived, and it was human-shaped lightning. Countless human-shaped lightning bolts formed into an army, attacking toward Yi Chen like a flood. Some of the more powerful human-shaped lightning bolts were holding lightning weapons in their hands, waving them around like powerful warriors. Even human-shaped lightning bolts have appeared. This little guy's sword intent is way too powerful. Even the sky is jealous of him. 100 miles away, a slim figure stood on top of a mountain. It was indeed the leader of the Rudra martial school, Long Bai. Long Bai had already sensed it when Yi Chen was going through the thunder disaster. Since the Rudra mountain was only 2,000 miles away from the Rudra martial school, it did not take long for her to arrive. Seeing that it was Yi Chen who was going through the thunder disaster, Long Bai was quite surprised. If she remembered correctly, Yi Chen was 24 years old this year. If he was able to go through the thunder disaster and reach the Sea of Soul's realm at that age, wouldn't that be even faster than Xianhu? Gold resonant radiance sword art. The sword chi that was mixed with a golden light was thrown out, killing all of the lightning troops in a straight line. Soon, even more sword chi was thrown out, and the lightning troops were shattered instantly, turning into pure thunder yuan chi and dissipating in the air. The overwhelming nature's will attacked into Yi Chen's soul ocean. It was as if he had just eaten a great tonic. Yi Chen could feel that his spirit had never been so excited before. His soul power seemed to be increasing in a straight line without any pause. All right. Again. Yi Chen raised his sword up to the sky. Heaven and earth were furious. The fourth wave of lightning tribulation not only had humanoid lightning, but there were also lightning drums, lightning dragon horses, and even humanoid lightning clad in lightning armor. This was an even more standardized lightning army that was born from nothingness, slaughtering their way over from nothingness. A magnificent army with tens of thousands of men and horses, their imposing manner like rainbows. The fourth wave of thunder disaster. Long Bai thought that the thunder disaster would be over soon, but she did not expect that Yi Chen's thunder disaster was far from over. The fourth wave of thunder disaster arrived, turning into a huge army that attacked Yi Chen. The number was way more than the third wave, and even the human-shaped lightning bolts were a couple of times more powerful. Not to mention the lightning dragon horses, lightning drums, and human-shaped lightning bolts with lightning armors. The fourth wave of thunder disaster is extremely rare. I wonder if he can handle it. If he can, then the training of his soul would be unimaginable. Long Bai was actually very jealous of Yi Chen. Reaching the Sea of Souls realm was not something that could be controlled, and it would happen without any sign. Therefore, even though a lot of people knew that the more powerful the thunder disaster, the more powerful their soul would be, they still could not do it. They could only hope to form their martial spirit as soon as possible. That way, once they made it through the thunder disaster and reached the Sea of Souls realm, their soul power would be much more powerful than normal people's. However, the more powerful the thunder disaster was, the more dangerous it would be. If it were a normal person going through the thunder disaster, they would be able to handle it easily. But for people with a strong willpower, it would be a different story. Facing this many lightning armies, no matter how powerful Yi Chen's sword art was, he would not be able to handle it. He put away his long sword and flicked his fingers rapidly. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Countless lotus heart sword chi shot out, turning into a sword chi tornado that attacked the lightning armies. There were a lot of them, so the sword chi in the tornado was not reduced at all. Moreover, there would be a huge amount of sword chi shooting out at every second, sweeping out like a heavy storm. Soon, the fourth wave of thunder disaster disappeared. Yi Chen's soul power had increased drastically, which made his eyebrows bulge out. The thunder disaster should be over by now, right? Long Bai let out a breath, feeling a bit shocked at Yi Chen's power. Boom! Without any lightning, the sky darkened for no reason. From day to night, one could not even see their own fingers. Suddenly, an earth-shaking explosion was heard, shaking the whole South Rudra Mountains. This is... Long Bai lifted up her head, her eyes wide and mouth open. In the dark sky, an even bigger crack was torn open. It was dozens of miles long and a couple of miles wide. It was the scene of the shocking sky barrier being torn open. Then, endless thunder and lightning gathered together, turning into a huge thunder palace. The palace looked so real that it was almost real. Countless thunder dragons coiled around the palace, roaring continuously. The fifth wave of thunder disaster, Thunder Dragon Palace. Long Bai mumbled to herself. Chapter 517. Zhenyuan Ocean, 10,000 streams return to the origin. The unprecedented pressure made Yi Chen's spirit, qi, and soul power explode like a volcano, shooting out from between Yi Chen's eyebrows. Pop, pop. A slight cracking sound came from his dantian. It was the Zhenyuan core that had started to melt, turning into a huge amount of Zhenyuan liquid. The liquid flowed inside his dantian, looking like a blue lake. On top of the lake, there was still half of the Zhenyuan core that had not melted yet, floating there. Meanwhile, the natural Yuan Qi within hundreds of miles continued to pour in with Yi Chen as the center. Yi Chen was like a black hole, continuously devouring the Yuan Qi and storing it inside his body, training it into Zhenyuan to fill up the emptiness in his dantian. No, the training speed is too slow. I still need top-rank spirit stones. Seeing that the Thunder Dragon Palace was slowly descending, Yi Chen hurried to take out a huge amount of top-rank spirit stones. With a shake of his Zhenyuan, the top-rank spirit stones exploded together. The pure top-rank spirit stones Yuan Qi spread out and was completely absorbed by Yi Chen. The top-rank spirit stones Yuan Qi was not something the natural Yuan Qi could compare with. It was dozens of times purer, and with a slight training, it turned into liquid Zhenyuan, expanding the Zhenyuan lake. Right now, even if I cannot make it through the thunder disaster, I am already at half-step Sea of Souls realm. The Sea of Souls realm is indeed powerful. My Zhenyuan is just like the ocean, rich and powerful. Plus, there is an undercurrent swirl in the center of my Zhenyuan, which makes it extremely pure. As long as I can make it through the thunder disaster, I will have time to purify all my Zhenyuan and turn it into Sea of Souls realm Zhenyuan. All of a sudden, Yi Chen felt that he had become much more powerful. The huge amount of Zhen Yuan was like a powerful source of power, bringing him waves of power. Awoo! The speed of the Thunder Dragon Palace's descent was getting faster and faster. The space rippled like water. The Thunder Dragon that was coiling around the Dragon Palace roared into the sky, its voice loud and full of majesty. Crack! Yi Chen's body sank down. The ground under his feet was full of cracks. It turned out that hundreds of miles of mountain range could not handle the pressure from the Thunder Dragon Palace, and had sunk down dozens of meters. Countless mountains had been shattered, and countless beasts had been turned into ashes by the thunder. Sky Thunder cut. Facing the Thunder Dragon Palace, Yi Chen activated his Sea of Souls realm Zhen Yuan, which was not very pure yet, and threw out a beam of blue sword qi. This sword qi was thousands of meters long, which was more than twice as powerful as before. Wherever the sword qi went, the space pattern spread out in a sharp cone shape. Clang! The Thunder and Lightning Dragon Palace seemed to have a physical body. When the sword qi struck it, it only scattered countless thunder and fire, leaving behind a sword mark that was neither shallow nor deep. Gold resonant radiance. After the blue sword qi was the green gold sword light. The sword light trembled and sent a corner of the Thunder and Lightning Dragon Palace flying. This won't do. A single attack won't be able to destroy the Thunder Dragon Palace. I can only use the storm of sword beams. After reaching half-step Sea of Soul Realm, the Lotus Heart Sword Qi had also become stronger. After all, the Lotus Heart Sword Qi was made of Zhen Yuan. If the Zhen Yuan was pure enough, the power of the Lotus Heart Sword Qi would naturally be strong enough. Bang 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 bang, countless Lotus Heart Sword Qi shot out. The surface of the Thunder and Lightning Dragon Palace looked like fireworks exploding. The 4 Thunder Dragons screamed before being killed completely by the Sword Qi. Carrying the broken pieces of the Sword Qi, the Thunder and Lightning Dragon Palace still attacked toward Yi Chen at an extreme speed. It was like a wave of light that had traveled thousands of miles. The light was getting dimmer and dimmer. When it was only 100 meters away from Yi Chen, the Thunder and Lightning Dragon Palace suddenly became blurry and disappeared with the wind. A wave of mysterious natural consciousness ignored the time and space, entering into Yi Chen's Sea of Soul in between his eyebrows. The Sea of Soul in between his eyebrows was filled with waves that shot up into the sky. Even the Slaughter Sword Spirit and the other normal Sword Spirit were affected, shaking violently. What a horrifying natural consciousness! Yi Chen tried his best to push his Slaughter Sword intent, making it shine with a dark red light that shone out in all directions. Standing on top of the mountain without moving, Yi Chen closed both of his eyes tightly. It is indeed impressive that he could reach half-step Sea of Soul Realm in advance. Long Biyun let out a breath. Yi Chen's Thunder Test was ridiculously powerful. Compared to him, when she was going through the Thunder Test, it was just child's play. It was not even worth mentioning. She was afraid that from the ancient times until now, the number of people who had gone through 5 waves of Thunder Tests was not that high. I wonder how powerful he would be after reaching the Sea of Souls realm. Long Biyun was very curious. Gradually, the natural consciousness started to soften down, continuing to train Yi Chen's soul. Yi Chen's soul grew stronger again, shining with a silver light. His soul power was the Sea of Soul, making it look like a silver ocean. In the deep part of the ocean, there were a lot of blood-colored tunnels that led to different directions. Right then, the blood-colored tunnels seemed to have woken up and started to move quickly, absorbing the soul power and transferring it to the end of the blood-colored tunnel. Pap! Something shocking happened. Yi Chen did not open his eyes, but the center of his eyebrows had cracked open. There was a silver light inside, shooting out a beam of silver light. It was hard for other people to see it, since it was the color of the soul. Only he himself could see it. Right then, that beam of light had pierced through the surreal space, spreading out for hundreds of thousands of miles, even millions of miles. Yeah, Snake Island, Star Regional Lake, Mountain Region. A series of mirage-like images appeared in his mind. They were very real, exactly the same as what he was seeing with his own eyes. However, the distance was way too far. Yi Chen was in the Windy Nation, but he could actually see the Snake Island, which was millions of miles away, as well as the Star Regional Lake, the mountains outside the lake, and beyond the mountains was the unfamiliar mountain region. All of a sudden, Yi Chen made a noise as a beam of black blood leaked out of the crack between his eyebrows. Then, the crack closed up quickly, and nothing could be seen anymore. Opening his eyes, a shocked expression flashed through his face. This is the legendary Eye of the Soul. The Eye of the Soul, just like the name suggested, was the eye of the soul. Only when one's soul was extra powerful would there be a small chance for it to form. Once it was formed, it would become a special talent with a very magical power. The Battle King had only heard about it by chance, and had never seen it with his own eyes. Obviously, Yi Chen did not have the power to use the Eye of the Soul yet, and it had been forcefully closed. If it were not for the fact that Yi Chen could still remember what he had seen before, he would have thought that he was hallucinating. Let me reach the Sea of Souls realm first. Reaching the Sea of Souls realm would require a lot of Yuan Qi. If he only relied on the natural Yuan Qi, he might not even be able to make it in half a month. Therefore, Yi Chen took out a box of top-rank soul stones. His Zhen Yuan vibrated, and the top-rank soul stones exploded together with the box. That powerful top-rank soul stone's Yuan Qi poured into Yi Chen's body. Crack, crack. As the top-rank soul stone's Yuan Qi was refined into Zhen Yuan, the half-Zhen Yuan core inside Yi Chen's Dantian also started to melt faster, merging with the Zhen Yuan lake. Within a couple of breaths, the lake had changed. Not only did it expand a couple of times, but its depth had also increased by a couple of times. It was now like a small Zhen Yuan ocean. In the deep part of the Zhen Yuan ocean, the undercurrent whirlpool was getting stronger and stronger. A huge amount of Zhen Yuan, when it came out from the bottom, into it every second, the Zhen Yuan would be twice as pure as before, turning into Sea of Souls realm Zhen Yuan. When the last bit of Zhen Yuan core was melted, Yi Chen's Zhen Yuan ocean was completely formed. A huge green lotus floated on top of it. There was a lotus seed in the middle of the lotus, and a bunch of solidified lotus heart sword chi was stored on top of it, looking like lotus seeds. In the surroundings, there were a lot of channels that connected to the Zhen Yuan ocean. Yi Chen knew that they were meridians, the channels for transferring Zhen Yuan. Finally, I have reached the Sea of Souls realm. Yi Chen let out a long breath. If one was a mortal before the Sea of Souls realm, then after reaching the Sea of Souls realm, one could no longer be considered a mortal anymore. Who had ever seen a mortal who could live to 300 years old? Most importantly, the Dantian of Sea of Souls realm warriors was the Zhen Yuan ocean. Their Zhen Yuan would be extremely rich, and their battle endurance would be dozens of times more powerful than astral-reaching realm warriors. Combined with the spirit body, they would be a tireless battle machine. Boom! A punch was thrown out, causing the space to ripple and a mountain far away to explode. Just the Zhen Yuan alone is already this powerful. Yi Chen nodded satisfactorily. Oh right. Let's see how much more powerful my soul has become. Between his eyebrows, Yi Chen tried his best to release his soul power. 100 miles. 200 miles. 300 miles. 500 miles. 500 miles. Normal Sea of Souls realm warriors would not be able to go beyond 100 miles, and I am 5 times more than them. Yi Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. Right then, a beam of light shot over from afar. Yi Chen, congratulations. Once you have reached the Sea of Souls realm, you have transformed from a cocoon into a butterfly. Revealing her figure, Long Bai said with a smile. Yi Chen was not surprised by Long Bai's appearance. When he released his soul power, he had already sensed her existence. She also knew that she had been exposed. Leader Long. Yi Chen held his fists together. You have just reached the Sea of Souls realm, so you probably have some doubts about your own power. How about we exchange a few moves? Even as she said that, Long Bai had already attacked with 70 to 80% of her power. That sky-covering huge hand tore through the air, grabbing toward Yi Chen. Flicking out his long sword, Yi Chen welcomed the sky-covering huge hand. Swoosh! The sky-covering huge hand was split into two, and that powerful sword chi tore through the sky. The aftershock spread out, causing the cloud ocean to crack open like the mouth of a demon. Hey! Long Bai was a bit surprised. 70 to 80% of her power was already enough to beat normal spirit warriors. Plus, Yi Chen had just reached the early Sea of Souls realm, while she was at peak level late Sea of Souls realm. Be it the purity or quantity of her Jin Yuan, she would be more powerful than Yi Chen. Not bad. Take another attack of mine. Taking a deep breath, Long Bai twisted her right hand in a circle, causing the water to vibrate. An even bigger mountain-like hand pressed towards Yi Chen. It was so huge that it covered the entire sky. The patterns on the palm could be clearly seen. It was Long Bai's low-rank profound sense martial art, Cloud Dragon Hand. Yi Chen did not back out, his long sword slashing down. Crack! The huge hand made of water element Jin Yuan was cut off at the same time, exploding all of a sudden. This. Long Bai was shocked. That Cloud Dragon Hand, she had used 90% of her power, but it still could not hurt Yi Chen. It was easy to tell that Yi Chen had not used all of his power either. Was he really just at the early Sea of Souls realm? His battling power was horrifying. Chapter 518. With my current power, I should not be afraid of spirit warriors anymore. Yi Chen was not sure that he could win against all of them. Therefore, it would be more appropriate to say that he was not afraid. Once one's cultivation base reached the Sea of Souls realm, there would be too many factors that would affect one's battling power: cultivation base, martial spirit, profound sense martial skills, experience, and battle talent. Any one of them would be closely related to the battling power. Being powerful in one of them would not mean much, but being powerful in all of them would make one truly powerful. For example, a Sea of Souls realm master level warrior would be powerful in all aspects. Their cultivation base would be at least late Sea of Souls realm, and their willpower would shine brightly. They would have mastered multiple low-rank profound sense martial skills and one mid-rank profound sense martial skill. They would have rich experience and battle talent. Only by reaching the standard in all aspects would one be considered a master-level warrior. If one or two aspects were not up to standard, they would still be spirit warriors. Therefore, some of the peak spirit warriors were very powerful, and Yi Chen did not have the confidence to win against them. In 5 aspects, my slaughter sword spirit is enough to look down on everyone. Even Sea of Souls realm master-level warriors would not be able to compete with me. In terms of experience, I am not that far behind, so there will not be a gap. Although my battle talent is not that much higher than others, it is at least one of my advantages. The remaining ones would be my weak cultivation base and profound sense martial skills. But, my soul is 5 times more powerful now, and my comprehensive ability has been greatly improved. The disadvantage in profound sense martial skills should not last for too long. As for cultivation base, there is nothing I can do about it. I can only train honestly and explore more when I have time, looking for some spirit herbs that can increase Jin Yuan. After exchanging blows with Long Bai, Yi Chen had a general idea of his own power. Long Bai stopped attacking and sighed, "From now on, you already have the right to explore the continent. As long as you do not run into Sea of Souls realm master level warriors, you will be safe. As for life and death realm warriors, they rarely appear. Most of them are exploring unknown forbidden places and planets. Thank you for taking care of me before." Putting the long sword back into the scabbard, Yi Chen said gratefully. Long Bai waved her hand, "Only with investment can there be profits. You are the one who has invested the least in Dragon God Celestial Palace. Even I am surprised at your achievements. But, you still have a lot of potential. You have to keep working hard and keep improving. Don't be affected by external factors. Yi Chen knows. Now that you have reached the Seas of Souls realm, I do not have much to give you. This spirit pattern fruit was grown from a 10,000 years old spirit pattern tree. It blooms once every 100 years and bears fruit once every 100 years. It contains a huge amount of spirit pattern yuan qi. Once you stabilize your early Seas of Souls realm cultivation, I think you will be able to reach peak level early Seas of Souls realm. Long Bai took out a fist-sized orange-yellow fruit from her storage ring and threw it at Yi Chen. After receiving the spirit rune fruit, Yi Chen lowered his head and looked at it. There were mysterious patterns on the surface of the fruit, and a special yuan qi flowed along the patterns, causing the entire spirit rune fruit to be filled with spirit qi. It must be a superior grade spirit fruit. With a flip of his hand, the fruit disappeared. Yi Chen expressed his thanks and asked, "Sect leader Long, I wonder if Shu Jing is doing well in the Dragon God Celestial Palace? Long Bai said with a smile that was yet not a smile, "Don't worry, the little girl is doing very well in Dragon God Celestial Palace. When you see her again, you'll be shocked. Moreover, she's very popular in Dragon God Celestial Palace. If you don't work hard, you'll have troubles." Trouble? Yi Chen chuckled. What kind of trouble was he afraid of? The more trouble there was, the more it would force him to bring out his potential. "All right, I will go first. Yi Chen, remember, if you do not want to live an ordinary life, then you have to be powerful. In the future, you will realize that the more powerful you are, the more you will feel that you are not powerful enough. As for what to choose, I believe you already have the answer in your heart." The voice gradually faded away as Long Bai disappeared at the end of the mountain range. Looking at the place where Long Bai disappeared, Yi Chen mumbled to himself, "Powerful? I have never thought about it, but being ordinary is also not my choice. My choice should be to climb one peak after another, until there is no road left to walk, no peak left to climb." After standing silently for a while, Yi Chen turned into a beam of light and flew away. The South Rudra mountain range once again returned to its peaceful state. Only the ruins left behind told people that something extraordinary had happened here. Returning to the Yi family, Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were both waiting in Yi Chen's courtyard, while Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao were playing on the side. "Big brother." Stopping playing, the two kids pounced at Yi Chen. "Chenna, you've made a breakthrough?" Yi Tianhao studied Yi Chen and realized that his son had become more and more mysterious. Because Yi Chen did not try to hide his Jin Yuan vibration, he could easily sense that the natural Yuan Qi around him was surrounding Yi Chen, as if it was obeying him. Yi Chen nodded, "I am already at the Sea of Souls realm." "Good. There has never been a Sea of Souls realm warrior in our Yi family. I did not expect my son to break this record. As a father, I will die without regrets." Yi Tianhao laughed out loud. Besides excitement, he could not be more excited. In this world where only powerful people were respected, everyone knew the importance of power. He and Shen Yuqing were both still at the peak level late clasping Yuan realm, so it should not be a problem for them to reach the astral reaching realm. But it would be impossible for them to reach the Sea of Souls realm. On the other hand, Yi Xian and Yi Xiaoxiao were both very talented. In another 2 years, when they reached the optimal training age of 10, they would be able to start training their qi. Sky Thunder cut. On the empty ground next to the lake, a row of training columns stood there. They were not made of normal iron, but were bought from the martial city. Each of them was as hard as a low-rank great weapon, and had been trained by the earth evulsion fire. Crack, 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 crack. Yi Chen waved out a sword attack, and half of the training columns were cut in half. There were 5 to 6 of them. 60%. He has learned the Thunder Profound in such a short time. Yi Chen was very surprised. It had only been a week since he had reached the Sea of Souls realm, and he had already learned the Thunder Profound, increasing his Sky Thunder cut to 60%. This kind of learning speed was almost 4 to 5 times faster than before. The things that were hard to understand before were suddenly understood. The soul is the foundation. Right now, Yi Chen was completely sure that the soul was the foundation of a human. If the soul was powerful, then the other aspects would be powerful as well. If the soul was not powerful enough, then one's achievement would be limited. What others could do in 10 days, one would need to spend dozens of days. I have not reached the bottleneck yet, so there is no need to rush out. I will rest for a few days in the Yi family and increase my power to the limit. After making up his mind, Yi Chen's state of mind became even more peaceful. The days passed by one after another, and Yi Chen's profound sense martial art matured day by day. Even the 9th movement of the Green Lotus sword art, Amaranthine Nature, had broken through to become a profound sense martial art. He had learned a bit of the Wood Profound, increasing it to 60%. Although the power of Amaranthine Nature was not as powerful as the Gold Resonant Radiance sword art, it was quite good at locking onto the target. With one sword attack, even the opponent with the same power as him would not have a chance to dodge, unless the opponent's movement art was way more powerful than his. Besides that, after reaching the Sea of Souls realm, the space mentality would no longer have to rely on the space power to train. Of course, observing the space power would be a lot faster, which was without a doubt. Chenna is so hardworking. Not far away, Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing stood side by side. Shen Yuqing was talking to each other in a low voice. Yi Tianhao said, "Geniuses need to work hard as well. For Chenna to be able to reach where he is now, he must have gone through a lot of hardships and dangers. Those who have the reputation of being geniuses, but are too proud and arrogant, afraid of danger. They have already lost their brilliance." Shen Yuqing said with a complicated expression, "We are not geniuses, so we do not know what kind of hardships geniuses have to go through. As his parents, we can only watch from the side and give him a warm home when he is tired. Children have their own fortune. Our Chenna will definitely be extraordinary in the future. So, we do not need to worry too much. If we worry about him, it will only bring him more pressure." Yeah. The two did not disturb Yi Chen's training and left quietly. 1 month had passed. Cut. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen waved out his sword. The gold light took up most of the space, and only 20% of the blue light was left. Crack. A row of training columns was cut down. It was not a normal cut, as the middle part of the training columns had disappeared completely. It had already been shattered into pieces by the power of the gold resonant radiance attack. 80%. My gold resonant radiance attack has reached 80%, and this is because I have controlled the attacking range on purpose. Otherwise, the Luo city in front of me would have been cut in half. A smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. In the past month, he had gained a lot. Sky Thundercut and Reverse Sky Thundercut were both at 70%. Amaranthine Nature was also at 60%. The one with the biggest improvement was the Gold Resonant Radiance attack, which had reached 80% right away. It was not that far away from completion. Of course, it did not mean that the Gold Resonant Radiance attack was easy to train. In fact, it was the hardest one to train out of the three. According to Yi Chen's estimation, it should be a top low-rank profound sword movement, which was extremely powerful in terms of attacking power. The reason why the Gold Resonant Radiance sword art was at the front was because it had been learned from someone else, and it was someone else's profound sword movement. The Sky Thundercut and Amaranthine Nature had to be created by oneself, which meant that it was like creating something out of nothing. Therefore, it was not that strange to be able to train it to 80%. The further I train the profound, the harder it gets. This should be my limit. Even in the extreme void, I would not be able to train it any faster. However, even though my profound sword movement has reached its limit, my body art has not reached its limit yet. My separating shadow flying art actually requires me to learn the shadow profound. Only by learning the shadow profound will I be able to train it to the profound flying art level, which is a bit hard. It is almost as hard as the space profound. People often described things as unpredictable and confusing. The wind profound was actually very easy to train, since it was one of the elements of Yuan Qi. However, the shadow profound was the real mystery. These days, he had been observing the shadows of the buildings, the birds, his own shadow, and the shadows of others. Because of the increase in his comprehensive ability, he had actually managed to learn the shadow mentality. It was just like how he had learned the space mentality when he was observing the space power. After learning the shadow mentality, Yi Chen's separating shadow flying art could only be described as mysterious and unpredictable. Within a flash, his shadow could be seen everywhere. Yi Tianhao, who had accidentally witnessed this scene, had his mouth wide open, unable to come back to his senses for a long time. The shadow mentality had been successfully learned, but Yi Chen knew that if he wanted to train it to the shadow profound, there would still be a long way to go. Of course, once he managed to learn the shadow profound, his separating shadow flying art would definitely be an extremely horrifying profound flying art. After all, the more powerful the profound, the more powerful the corresponding martial art would be. This was proven by the void-shattering finger. Chapter 519. We have reached the Windy Nation. It is indeed quite a long journey. On top of a huge tree next to the rocky mountain, a man in a black robe looked into the distance. Under the tree, There were 7 or 8 corpses lying on the ground. All of them had their brains taken out. Next to them were a man and a wolf. The one who had eaten the brains was the wolf, a beast with red fur and eyes all over its forehead. Hey, Ink Wolf, every time I come out with you, it is always so bloody. Can you tell your dream-eating wolf to eat less? The man in the black robe standing on the tree said unhappily. The man in the black robe, who was stroking the beast's fur, said indifferently, no, the brain has the energy it needs, unless you can find some clam beasts. Where can I find clam beasts? Never mind, just put it away. Let's hurry. It has been 2 months since the tea gathering, that brat might leave already. Once we kill him, your dream-eating wolf's head will belong to you. This is the head of a genius after all. It would take some time for the news to spread. Although the two had left as soon as possible, it had already been 2 months. Hearing the words the head of a genius, the man in the black robe who was stroking the dream-eating wolf sneered and slowly straightened his body. Remnant soul, come in. He patted on the metal tag on his waist. Shoo. The dream-eating wolf turned into a beam of light and disappeared into it. It's him. This metal tag several hundred miles away from Luo
with
City.
An ancient character
2 black-robed
written
men
on
appeared.
It
It was
the
a slightly
beast
skinny
tag that was
black-robed
even
man
rarer than a
closed his
storage
eyes
ring.
and sensed
The
Yi Chen's
beast's
presence
presence
through the
through the
space
airflow,
inside.
the
Which
black-robed
could be used
man
to raise
called
beasts.
Ink Wolf smirked.
Of course,
There's
it
no
would
need
only
to
work
ambush
if the
him.
owner left his
Just
own
kill
soul
him.
mark on the beast's
My
soul.
dream-eating wolf
Shoo.
can't wait
Shoo.
any longer.
The two flashed once
The
and
skinny
disappeared,
black-robed man
leaving
shook his
behind
head
the
as a
horrifying
cruel
corpses.
smile appeared on his
The
face.
poetic perspective of
Obviously,
shadow
Ink
is indeed
Wolf had the same
mysterious.
idea as him.
It contains
To
the
deal
power
with a
of
little
yin,
guy who
but
had
it is
not
not
even
as
reached
pure
the
as
sea
the
of
poetic
soul's realm
perspective
yet.
of yin.
There was no need
It
to
also
ambush him.
contains something
It was a
else.
strategy for
Thinking
dealing
of
with
shadow,
people who
most
were more
people would
powerful
think
than
of the
them.
sun.
The tallest
Standing under
buildings
the
in
sun
Luo
would
City
produce
used
a
to be the
shadow.
towers.
Therefore,
But now,
the shadow
the
was the
tallest
opposite
building
of the
was Yi
sun.
Chen's golden
Since
statue,
the sun
which was
contained the
hundreds of
poetic
meters
perspective
tall.
of yang, standing
The
on top
opposite
of
of the
it,
shadow
one
was
could see
undoubtedly
every corner
related
of
to
the
Luo
poetic
City.
perspective of
The
yin.
normally sacred
However,
golden
the
statue
truth was
had
not
2
absolute.
uninvited guests.
The creation of
They were
shadows
wearing
did
black
not
robes,
necessarily
and they were
require
standing
strong
on top of the
sunlight.
statue.
As
Looking
long as it
toward
could
where
emit
the Yi
light,
family was
it could
located.
create a shadow.
He is only a
For
martial
example,
genius
if
who
a
has
flame
not
had
grown
light,
up yet.
it could
And he
create
already
a
has his
shadow.
own golden
If
statue.
lightning had light,
He would not
it could
even
also
know how
create
he
a
died.
shadow.
Ink
It seems that
speech
if I
shook
want to
once.
raise the concept
The
of
golden
shadow to the
statue
shadow
was full of
profound,
cracks,
I will need to
seeming like it would
understand
shatter
more of
at
the
any
mysteries
second.
of the world.
But
The
there
shadow
seemed to be a
profound
subtle
is much more
balance, and not a
complicated than
single
most
piece
profound.
fell.
Without
There were
looking
stone
at the golden
tables and
statue
chairs
that was
beside
about
the
to
lake.
shatter, the
Yi
skinny
Chen
black-robed
stopped
man
cultivating
pushed his
and
eyesight
walked
to its
over.
limit. He
Quickly
sat on the
finding
stone
Yi
chair
Chen, who
and
was
drank
dozens of
tea
miles
while
away.
looking at the lake. In his sight, a young man in blue was enjoying the scenery and drinking tea, looking very relaxed. As for his cultivation, he had reached the Sea of Soul's realm. How long had it been? How did he reach the Sea of Soul's realm already? Damn it! The skinny black-robed man cursed with a low voice. Ghost cry, what's wrong? Ink Wolf did not pay attention to Yi Chen, as long as there was Ghost cry. Ghost cry said with a creepy voice, he is already a Sea of Soul's realm warrior. What? You are not mistaken, are you? Although I did not use my soul power to sense it, at such a close distance, the Jin Yuan vibration coming from his body was transmitted over through the wind Yuan Qi. It could not be fake. Although Ghost Cry did not think much of Yi Chen, he did not want to alert him either, so he used his soul power to observe. Reaching the Sea of Soul's realm within 2 months. Interesting. Unfortunately, he is still going to die. What a shame. Ink Wolf was a bit surprised, but he soon recovered. They were not normal spirit realm warriors. Even if Yi Chen had reached the Sea of Soul's realm, he would only be a bit more powerful than normal spirit realm warriors. Plus, there were 2 of them, plus a rank 10 dream-eating wolf. Second master is right. This guy has to be killed. A powerful killing intent spread out of Ghost Cry's body. Who are you? Come down now. Groups of patrolling soldiers appeared around the golden statue. The leader of the patrolling soldiers pointed at the 2 on the statue and yelled, "Let's go." Ghost Cry did not care about the patrolling soldiers at all, shooting toward Yi Chen's direction. Hee. Ink Wolf followed closely. Before he left, he poured a wave of Jin Yuan into the golden statue. Boom. As soon as the 2 of them left, the golden statue exploded. Tens of thousands of golden fragments shot out, covering a radius of several miles. Puff, 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 puff. Within a radius of several miles, the buildings were pierced through, and blood flowed like rivers. Countless people died. Next to the lake of the Yi family, Yi Chen turned his head and squinted his eyes. Using his soul power all the time would consume a lot of energy. Therefore, normally, Yi Chen would not release his soul power. He would only scan the Luo city once in a while. When the two men in black were hundreds of miles away from the city, Yi Chen did not notice them. But when they got on top of the golden statue, Yi Chen noticed them. After all, he was very sensitive to gazes. He had seen the scene of the man in black stomping on the golden statue and killing countless people. Who are you? Yi Chen turned around, his sword chi rising up in the air. Brat, if you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being in the limelight. The tallest tree in the forest will be blown away by the wind. Ghost Cry's body art was very fast, just like the wind, but even more powerful than the wind. With a flash, he suddenly appeared and disappeared, throwing out a kick towards Yi Chen. Wind Profound. Yi Chen could tell that Ghost Cry was good at the Wind Profound. The Wind Profound was vague, and it was especially powerful in terms of speed and change. Reverse Sky Thunder Cut. Holding the long sword with his left hand, Yi Chen threw out a reverse sword attack. Reverse sword. Ghost Cry was shocked. Yi Chen's attack was perfect to counter his speed and attacking angle. Being in the air, he hurried to flash once, avoiding the sword chi. You are looking for death. Ink Wolf followed behind Ghost Cry. After Ghost Cry avoided the attack, the sword chi wrapped around his body like a waterfall. It was as fast as lightning. Without any preparation, he hurried to throw out a blade attack to block the sword chi. Pap, pap. The sword chi and the blade chi clashed, and Ink Wolf's whole body was blown away. Since you are already here, then stay. Shoo. His body bounced out. Yi Chen appeared in midair. He switched the sword to his right hand, throwing out a sword attack towards Ghost Cry, who was the closest to him. Wind Phantom. Ghost Cry's body shook, and dozens of illusionary shadows appeared, attacking towards Yi Chen together. The space shook intensely as the two exchanged hundreds of attacks within a second. Although Ghost Cry had created a lot of illusionary shadows, in Yi Chen's eyes, they were not much of a threat at all. With one sword attack, he shattered all of them, leaving only his real body which was backing out quickly. It seems like I have underestimated you. Ghost Cry had wanted to kill Yi Chen with his speed, but he did not expect Yi Chen's sword art to be so fast and accurate, which made it hard for him to get close. Yi Chen said coldly, no matter what your purpose is, today is the day you die. Running away is useless. Haha. Run. Do you really think you are some big shot? How dare you look down on us? Wind Shadow Invisible Hand. Ghost Cry laughed out of anger. He threw out his right hand, and the air was filled with shadows. Some of them were clenched into fists, some were palm blades, some were finger stabbing, and some were tearing the air apart. It was like there were dozens of people attacking towards Yi Chen, and each of them was different. Fast Sword Hell. Yi Chen's hand that was holding the sword disappeared, and a large amount of sword light exploded out. It was also like there were dozens of people waving their swords. However, the difference was that all of them were faster than Ghost Cry's dozens, because they were all pushed by the Fast Profound. With his amazing comprehensive ability, Yi Chen had just learned the Fast Profound 3 days ago, and he did not expect that there would be people coming to test it out right away. So fast. Ghost Cry was shocked. He could only watch his attack being cancelled out and bounced back. Chenna, what happened? Right then, Yi Tianhao arrived with a large group of Yi family warriors. Die, all of you. On the other side, Ink Wolf waved his hand, and a black chi spread out in all directions, drowning Yi Tianhao and the rest within it. Swoosh. A beam of sword chi flashed past, and the black chi was cut in half, disappearing completely. Yi Chen yelled with a low voice, Father, you guys should leave this area as soon as possible. The further, the better. Tell the others to leave the Yi family immediately. Yi Tianhao understood the situation right away, so he made up his mind and ordered everyone to leave. Separating shadows. After yelling, Yi Chen's body flashed once, and countless shadows appeared, layer upon layer, separating the two from the rest of the Yi family. Brat, die. While Yi Chen was distracted, Ghost Cry and Ink Wolf both attacked towards Yi Chen. Gold Resonant Radiance attack. The golden blue sword light exploded, and Ghost Cry was blown away instantly. Blood leaked out of the corner of his mouth, and Ink Wolf was not feeling any better either. While he was dealing with Ghost Cry, Yi Chen pointed out his finger at Ink Wolf. That waist-thick Jin Yuan finger ignored the spatial distance and landed on Ink Wolf's protective Jin Yuan layer, blowing him away for miles as well. Let's take him together. Ghost Cry's expression turned serious. Yi Chen's battling power was out of his expectation. Fighting 1 against 2, he still had the upper hand. Fortunately, they were not working together before, and were just doing their own thing. Chapter 520. Ghost Cry, stall him first. When he is not paying attention, I can let out the dream-eating wolf and let him enter the dream realm. As long as he enters the dream realm, he will lose control of his body and treat the dream as reality. Killing him will be as easy as flipping one's hand. Ink Wolf sent a Jin Yuan message to Ghost Cry. Ghost Cry nodded as a wicked smile appeared on his face. Wind Shadow Shapeless Hand. Battle Wolf Kill. The two regrouped, attacking toward Yi Chen together from the left and right. Yi Chen was not afraid at all as he waved his sword to welcome the incoming attack. A horrifying slaughter sword intent surrounded his body and eventually gathered on his long sword, which shone with a dark red light. The light was dreamy, carrying the purest killing intent in the world. The buildings of the Yi family started to shatter. Even though it was only a bit of that shocking sword intent, it had already darkened the sky completely, and the heavy clouds had reached the lowest point. Kill. As the battle reached its climax, Yi Chen waved out a sword attack. Gold-blue sword chi filled the sky, slicing through the dark clouds. Pooh. Ghost Cry and Ink Wolf both backed out, puking out a huge amount of blood. The two looked shocked. Who were they? They were the remaining elders of the Nine Evil cult, with a cultivation at peak level mid-sea of Soul's realm, and had learned a couple of low-rank profound sense martial arts. Their martial will was not bad either, having already reached the martial soul rank 3. Their experience and battling talent were not their weaknesses either. Otherwise, they would not have been able to become the elders of the Nine Evil cult. With their power, they had joined hands to fight against Yi Chen, but they were still pushed back by the latter while puking out blood. How could there be such a ridiculous thing in this world? If this brat is not killed, I will not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Ghost Weep gritted his teeth and spat out a sentence filled with killing intent. Hold on. Dream-eating wolf is the key to our mission. Ink Wolf reminded Ghost Cry. I know. Let him be arrogant for a while longer. After blowing away the two with one sword attack, Yi Chen performed his sword steps and approached the slower Ink Wolf. Before the latter could react, he stabbed out an amaranthine nature attack. The space pattern spread out along the sword body, and the blue sword light kept on shooting out. Not good, danger. Ink Wolf was fully aware of Yi Chen's offensive power. Even if he were to fight an attack head-on, he would still vomit blood and be forced to retreat. If he were to use his protective Jin Yuan to resist, he would definitely be courting death. Dang! Blinding sparks flew. Ink Wolf took out a high-grade shield just in time to block Yi Chen's Shorekill sword. Quick sword hell. Using the counterforce, Yi Chen pulled away from Ink Wolf. Ink Wolf was very clear that anyone below the master level would not be able to destroy a dream within a second and break out of it. Even for a master level warrior, if they encountered the dream-eating wolf for the first time, they would most likely die. The second master had sent him here because he knew that Yi Chen was raising an extremely rare rank 10 dream-eating wolf. With the dream-eating wolf's ability to create dreams, even if he encountered a master-level warrior, he might still be able to put up a fight, and might even be able to kill him. Could it be that his willpower has already surpassed the master level? Ink Wolf thought of a possibility, and his face turned extremely pale. He did not even care about the dream-eating wolf, whose soul had been injured, and ran away as fast as he could. Putting away his long sword, Yi Chen sneered and flicked his fingers. Swoosh! Beams of Lotus Heart Sword Chi that were as thin as bullets shot out, forming a dense sword chi tornado. The sword chi tornado instantly covered Ink Wolf, attacking him indiscriminately. His soul power had sensed countless sword chi attacks, so Ink Wolf hurried to take out his top-rank shield to protect his back. However, there were just too many sword chi attacks, and the shield's defensive range was limited. Swoosh! His right arm was cut off from the shoulder, and then his right calf, left calf, neck, head. When the top-rank shield lost control, it fell down from the sky. Ink Wolf was instantly turned into a sieve, and eventually turned into a rain of blood. Stopping the sword chi attack, Yi Chen let out a breath. Those two people and one wolf were indeed horrifying. It was not that he did not want to perform the sword chi tornado right from the start, but he was not confident that he could kill the two of them with one attack. If he performed the sword chi tornado and scared the other one away, it would be a disaster. Therefore, he had been waiting for a chance to kill the two of them with one attack. However, he did not expect that there would be another horrifying red wolf. If he had guessed it right, that red wolf should be a dream-eating wolf that was about to go extinct, and it had the power to create dreams. It was similar to the Shun beast that he had met in the 9 curves and 18 curves. Amidst the blood rain, a light spot and a metal tag fell down. Yi Chen reached out his hand and sucked them into his hand. The light spot was a storage ring, and the metal tag was a beast tag with the word beast carved on it. If he remembered it right, only the beast-controlling martial school still had the method to make beast tags. A lot of martial institutions would need to buy beast tags from the beast-controlling martial school, and then capture some beasts that could be tamed. Without the tag, even if they could tame the beasts, they would not be able to bring them around, as it would be too eye-catching. There were also different ranks for beast tags. In fact, with the Yi clan's current situation, as long as sect leader Long agreed verbally, everything else would not be a problem. The Yi clan did not lack gold or spirit stones. They had enough to build 7 or 8 bigger Yi clans. Half a day later, Long Bai arrived. The news about the battle between Yi Chen and the 2 Sea of Souls realm warriors had just reached the Rudra martial school. Knowing that Yi Chen had eliminated the enemies, Long Bai didn't think much of it. She thought it was just 2 ordinary Sea of Souls realm warriors. Build the Yi clan near the Rudra martial school? No problem. I'll go back and have people pick a good place for you. After chatting for a while, Yi Chen expressed his idea, and Long Bai immediately agreed. Protecting the Yi clan and letting Yi Chen roam the outside world in peace was what they should do. Yi Chen's current performance was no longer that of a small genius, but a growing genius. When he reached his peak, it would be the time for the Dragon God Celestial Palace to reap the harvest. Receiving Long Bai's approval, the Yi clan became busy. Not only the Yi clan, but the entire Luo city was busy as well. The central plaza was destroyed, the golden statue shattered, the casualties, and the compensation for the deaths. All of these required the Luo City Lord Mansion and the Yi clan to make arrangements. Since it was because of Yi Chen, the Yi clan would be directly responsible for the compensation. 3 days later, the construction of the new Yi clan began. The location was chosen to be 200 li east of the Rudra martial school. It was indeed a good place for feng shui. As for Yi Chen, he didn't participate in these matters and focused on cultivating. In another intact courtyard of the Yi clan in Luo City, it's been 2 months since I entered the Sea of Souls realm. My cultivation base has more or less stabilized. I'm about to eat the spirit pattern fruit to reach the peak of early Sea of Souls realm. Advancing from early Sea of Souls realm to the peak of early Sea of Souls realm actually didn't have much of an increase in battle power. It was just that the Zhen Yuan would be more vigorous. However, having more vigorous Zhen Yuan was also an advantage, as it would allow one to fight for a long time. Taking out the spirit pattern fruit, Yi Chen took a few bites and swallowed it. Gulp! The pieces of the spirit pattern fruit melted once in his mouth, turning into a rich spirit pattern yuan qi that poured into his meridians. As Yi Chen trained his martial art, the yuan qi slowly turned into new Zhen Yuan. During the night, Yi Chen had successfully reached the peak of early Sea of Souls realm. His rich Zhen Yuan was like a huge river, running around in his meridians and eventually flowing into the Jinyuan Ocean in his dantian. Wu. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen opened his eyes. His gaze was like lightning, lighting up the whole room. It is indeed a top-rank spirit fruit. Chapter 522. Second Master, this kid is tricky. I do not even have 30% confidence. Inside the dark underground building, the elder in black robes looked like he was thinking. Beside him, there was a lump of shadow, from which came a dry voice, one word at a time. The elder in black robes lifted up his head, his face blurry. Two cold stars shone in his eyes. You are my best assassin, and even you say that you do not have 30% confidence. It seems like he has already matured. People with great luck are hard to kill. It seems like the gods are on their side. But, if our 9-ghost cult wants to kill him, even the gods would not be able to help. What is the plan, Second Master? Wait for the black demon to come out. Black demon. The shadow moved a little bit, and it was obvious that it was emotional. Nightmare, you should not stay idle during this period of time. Bring your assassins and kill one of the candidates for the deputy leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace, Li Xiaoling. This kid is no less threatening than Yi Chen. Plus, he has the water spirit body. The elder in black robes had a cold look in his eyes. As long as it was a top martial genius related to the old Dragon King and Xianhu, he would kill them all. It would not be wise to let an enemy with potential grow. If it were not for the fact that the Master Union was so busy, having to deal with all the information coming from all directions, and also having to watch out for the dark power, he would have done it himself already. Star Regional Lake, east of the core area, this place was calm and peaceful. The lake water was deep blue, and there were no islands around. Looking into the distance, one could only see the sparkling water. On the surface of the lake, a small boat was parked there, and an old man was fishing leisurely. The fishing rod was like jade, and the fishing line was shining with a crystal-like luster. However, that fishing hook was not a normal fishing hook, but a finger-long, slightly curved silver-sharp blade. The sharp blade was as thin as paper, and it seemed to be quite heavy. The fishing line was stretched taut, and even the wind could not move it. In the air near the boat, a middle-aged man wearing a scholar robe stood in the air, holding a book in one hand and the other behind his back. He seemed to be immersed in the world of books. Fisherman, you said that the Treasure River Island would appear in a couple of days. But we have been waiting for a whole week, and nothing has happened. Are you sure you are not mistaken? On the surface of the lake not far away, there was a huge flower boat with an antique design. A beautiful woman in red stood at the bow of the boat. She stopped looking at the lake and said to the old man who was fishing. The old man focused his attention on the fishing line and said lightly, "Before the Treasure River Island appears, there will definitely be a 5-colored light shining on the surface of the lake. I will not be wrong. Let's just wait patiently. I have no idea where this island came from. Every time it appears, it seems like it was born out of thin air. But before it appears, it would leave behind some kind of sign. It is really hard to tell." The lady in red looked helpless. The middle-aged man glanced at the red-clothed woman and smiled. The world is full of wonders. There are too many things that you and I do not understand. It is better to read more books. What is the point of reading? If you did not spend so much time reading, you would be a master level C of Soul's Realm warrior already. Hehe, I'm just waiting for the right opportunity. Only the fisherman is free. Hey! The middle-aged man suddenly put away his book and stared at the lake in front of him with a sharp gaze. The lady in red and the fisherman had also noticed the anomaly. They did not even blink their eyes as they started to look more serious. Under the lake, a huge black shadow appeared out of nowhere. It was so huge that one could not even see the edge of it. They could only see the tip of the iceberg. Treasure River Island? Before the lady in red came, she had already checked the bottom of the lake and made sure that there was no trace of it. This black shadow was just too strange, as if it came from another world. Rumble. Soon, the endless black shadow appeared on the surface of the lake. The 5-colored light spread out, dyeing the air, the lake water, and the clouds into a colorful color. It was like a dream, and it was not real at all. It is indeed the Treasure River Island. The middle-aged man gasped as his sight was filled with 5 different colors. Through it, he saw an island that looked like a small continent. The island was covered in a layer of 5-colored light, making it impossible to see what was inside. It was exactly the same as the Treasure River Island that was described in the ancient books. The lady in red sounded excited. There are countless spirit plants on this island, including some extinct ones. If you are lucky, you might be able to find 1 or 2 top-rank spirit plants. According to the rumors, someone had found the 9-twist reverse spirit plant, dragonblood plant, youth flower, and many other rare top-rank spirit plants. The fisherman chuckled. Spirit plants are just one of them. The Treasure River Island is a mysterious island where all the treasures are gathered. Alright, let's start to break the spell. This 5-colored light's defense and attacking power are not normal. Although we are all top spirit warriors, we cannot afford to be careless. The appearance of the Treasure River Island, no matter how troublesome it would be worth it. The lady in red and the middle-aged man chuckled, feeling very happy. Right then, some people were attracted by the 5-colored light from afar. It was a group of Sea of Souls realm warriors who had been wandering around the core area of the Star Regional Lake. The Star Regional Lake was one of the few lakes in the whole true spirit continent. It had a radius of millions of miles, and there were countless dangerous places, especially in the center of the core area. Even life and death realm warriors might not be able to make it back alive. Although the core area was relatively less dangerous, warriors below the Sea of Souls realm would not be able to go in and out as they wished, since the death rate would be extremely high. Therefore, most of the warriors who appeared in this area were Sea of Souls realm warriors. There were warriors from the South Rudra region, the Misty Snow region, the Wavy Cloud region, and even the Mountain region. This group of Sea of Souls realm warriors had been traveling together for years, exploring all kinds of dangerous places in the Star Regional Lake. The 5-colored light from the island was too bright, and as long as they were within hundreds of miles, they would be able to sense it easily. Therefore, they rushed over immediately. This is the Treasure River Island. It is the Treasure River Island. Oh my God! Now that the Treasure River Island has appeared, our opportunity has come. One of the Sea of Souls realm warriors seemed to have thought of something, and his face lit up as he explained to his partner. What? It is the legendary Treasure River Island. The last time it appeared was 100 years ago, right? No one knew when the island would show up, so it was all up to luck. Therefore, no one knew when the island would show up, and how many years it would take to show up. After all, it was possible that when the island appeared, there would be no one around, and then it would disappear again. Huh. The lady in red sneered as she exchanged a look with the middle-aged man and the elder. Your fortuitous encounter ends here, said Yi Shiwen. The elder stood up and waved the fishing rod in his hand. The silver-sharp blade that was attached to the fishing line shot out. The fishing line seemed to be bouncy, as it could reach dozens of miles with ease. Because of its crystal-like appearance, the fishing line was barely visible, which was hard to notice. Pooh! The silver-sharp blade made an arc in the air, piercing through the throat of a Sea of Souls realm warrior. Then, with the bouncy effect of the fishing line, it shot backward, slicing through the other 2 Sea of Souls realm warriors. Blood splashed everywhere. The Sea of Souls realm warrior who had his throat pierced through clutched his neck and fell down from the sky in shock. He did not even see how the elder had attacked him. Meanwhile, the other 2 Sea of Souls realm warriors nearby were suddenly sliced in half. The cut surface was smooth like a mirror. Looking at the fishing line that had been pulled back, a blood-colored light shone on it as a drop of blood splashed out. The silver-sharp blade and the fishing line could both kill. Run. After a slight pause, the other Sea of Souls realm warriors started to run for their lives. The elder was way too powerful. He had killed 3 of their partners within a second. Plus, that silver-sharp blade and fishing line seemed to be extremely sharp, which meant that they might be top-rank weapons as well. Shoo, shoo, shoo. After 3 of them had died, there were only 6 Sea of Souls realm warriors left, and they started to run toward the distance. 100 flowers. The lady in red had a cold expression on her face as she shook her hand and shot out a huge amount of bright light shards. They were crystal chips that looked like all kinds of flower petals. With a flash, they landed among the 6 warriors. All of a sudden, another 2 warriors had fallen down, and another 2 had been badly wounded. Their running speed had been reduced drastically. Flash sword. The middle-aged man's weapon was a sword, a thin and long sword. His long and slim hand held onto the sword handle as he waved out a sword attack. Pooh! A bright light shone, and the 2 badly wounded warriors were sliced into pieces. The remaining beam of light caught up with 1 warrior who was slower than them and cut off half of his body. The 3 of them had killed 8 Sea of Souls Realm warriors with just 1 attack. It was as easy as eating and drinking. However, the last Sea of Souls Realm warrior was extremely fast as he disappeared into the sky. The elder's eyes shone as he said slowly, "His flying art contains the profound of thunder. No wonder he is so fast. Let's not waste any more time. Let's break through the colorful light first and get into the island." The lady in red and the middle-aged man nodded. They did not look too good, and the carefree mood they had before had disappeared completely. Thousands of miles away, the Sea of Souls Realm warrior who had just escaped was still scared, his face pale. So scary. I did not even have the power to fight back. The good thing is that I am at mid-Sea of Souls Realm, and my flying art contains the profound of thunder. These 3 are so powerful. Once I get into the island, I will definitely die if I run into them. But, giving up on the island is not my style either. It is such a rare opportunity, so I will have to try. What should I do? What should I do to grab this opportunity? Oh right. Spread the news out. The man's eyes brightened as he said excitedly, "There are a lot of treasures on the island. It might not be a bad thing if more people go there. No matter how big the cake is, it would have to be big enough for 1 person to eat. Since I cannot eat it all, why don't I spread the news out? I don't believe that the 3 of them would be able to kill everyone else. Let's do this." After making up his mind, the man did not stop and flew toward the nearest mountain region. The news about the Treasure River Island had spread out very fast. Normally, it would be great if there were only a few people who knew about the secret. However, this time, it seemed like someone had been pushing it in the dark, so a lot of people knew about it. But of course, they were all close to the Star Regional Lake. If the distance was too far, the news would not be able to spread out. Since the person behind the scenes did not want everyone to know about it, those who knew about it all kept it a secret and headed toward the place where the island would appear. Inside the martial city of the Black Dragon Empire, Treasure River Island. Yi Chen had just arrived in the martial city of the Black Dragon Empire recently. He wanted to go through the city and trade for some pellets or medicines with some Sea of Souls Realm warriors. These things were for his parents so that they could reach the astral reaching realm as soon as possible. After all, he already had the power and the identity of a Sea of Souls Realm warrior, so why not do more for his parents? All of these things would be very easy for him. Just before, when he was about to talk with a Sea of Souls Realm warrior in the martial city, someone sent a Jin Yuan message to them, telling them that the island had appeared somewhere in the Star Regional Lake. Sorry, I will leave now. The Sea of Souls Realm warrior who was talking with Yi Chen had heard the news and left in a hurry. Yi Chen did not mind, since there were a lot of treasures on the island. Perhaps he would be able to find some medicines that could help his parents increase their cultivation. If it were before, I would have to think about it. But now that I am not that weak anymore, it is a must for me to enter the island. His eyes flashed as Yi Chen left the room. Yi Chen steadied himself when he was 10 meters away from the island's surface. Looking back, where the multicolored glow originally was, the sea of clouds was surging, and the fog was hazy. In the sea of clouds, there was an unhealed crack. Obviously, this crack was left when Yi Chen passed through the sea of clouds. Following the crack, Yi Chen saw the scene outside through the much softer multicolored glow. The scene was distorted and blurred, as if it had been refracted many times. Withdrawing his gaze, Yi Chen began to size up his current location. In his eyes, mountains were rising and falling one after another. Some of them were tall and green, while others were short and strange. On top of the mountains, there were waterfalls and fountains, looking very beautiful. From time to time, there would be beautiful spirit light and treasure light shooting out, as if there was some kind of treasure there, shining with its own radiance. Because he could not fly in the sky, Yi Chen could only see the mountains in a small area. His soul power was also greatly reduced in this place, and his detection range was not more than 5 miles. Without much hesitation, Yi Chen flew toward the area where the spirit light had shot out, trying his best to hide his aura along the way. After half the time it would take to make tea, Yi Chen found the source of the spirit light. In the crevice of the mountain rocks, there was a spirit flower with waxy white leaves and green flowers. This spirit flower was the size of a palm, and the tiny blood vessels on its stem were clearly visible, just like the meridians of a human body. Because there was too much spirit energy, this spirit flower was constantly releasing a condensed spirit light. Tendon refining flower. Yi Chen recognized the origin of this spirit flower. It was the tendon refining flower that he had obtained in the foggy area. The tendon refining flower was a mid-rank spirit flower, and one could be sold for 5,000 mid-rank soulstones. If it could be made into a tendon refining pellet with other precious materials, it could even be sold for 30,000 mid-rank soulstones. The meridians of the human body were very important, but they were also relatively fragile. If the meridians were not smooth, then the battling power would not be able to be used to its peak. If the meridians were broken, it would be a catastrophic injury for a warrior, and it would be very hard to recover. However, a tendon refining pellet could not only heal the broken meridians in a short period of time, but it could also strengthen the meridians, making them extremely tough. Although this tendon refining flower is a mid-rank spirit flower, it has probably reached the 10,000-year level. Even if it is not as powerful as the extreme rank spirit flower, it is not far from it. Yi Chen moved his mind and waved his hand. The tendon refining flower flew out of the soil and landed on his hand. He then put it into his storage ring. Inside the storage ring, there were many flower pots of different sizes, and the soil was very rich. In the corner, there were many jade bottles, which contained the spirit liquid that could help the plants grow. He had bought these spirit liquids from some special places. As for the nutrition liquid that Wang Heng had given him before, he had already used it up. Planting the tendon refining flower in the pot and filling it with soil, Yi Chen withdrew his mind power and flew toward the next area where the spirit light exploded. So many spirit plants. Almost every mountain has spirit light shooting out. This is something unimaginable in the outside world. The 2 Sea of Souls realm warriors looked at each other, their faces full of joy. What are you waiting for? Let's go and pick them. Suppressing their excitement, the 2 pushed their Jin Yuan and flew at a low altitude. Ah! A wail was heard from another area. Right next to a blood-red spirit plant, there was a human and a beast. It was a Sea of Souls realm warrior with a pale face. One of his arms had been bitten off by something, and it was not blood that poured out from the wound. Instead, it was dirty pus, which was extremely disgusting. As time went on, his shoulder started to corrode, and more pus started to pour out. In front of him was a 10-meter-long blood-red poisonous snake. Its upper body was huge, and its tongue was sticking out of its mouth. A creepy light shone in its eyes. Damn it! Why is there a rank 9 blood dragon snake right next to the dragon blood plant? The warrior's face was full of despair. The blood dragon snake was an ancient beast, and its poison was extremely powerful. Without a special antidote, the victim would die for sure. Unless they reached the life and death realm and trained the undying body, they would be able to ignore the poison. Die. Knowing that he was going to die for sure, the warrior pushed his Jin Yuan and tried to fight back. Boom. The blood dragon snake's body did not move, but it waved its tail. Without even a shadow, this Sea of Souls realm warrior's chest caved in and he was blown away. Blood dragon snake. Hundreds of meters away, Yi Chen stood on top of a hill. The hill was filled with lush greenery, covering him completely. Only his eyes could be seen. The blood dragon snake's name was well known to Yi Chen. Among all the poisonous creatures in the world, the blood dragon snake could be ranked in the top 10. It was said that no one under the life and death realm would be able to handle its poison. And, when the blood dragon snake reached adulthood, it would have the power of a rank 9 demonic beast, which was no weaker than the water ape race. Judging only based on rank 9 might not be that high, but it was an ancient beast with an extremely powerful battling power. Normal water apes would not be able to compete with it. My power is only at the same level as the blood dragon snake. If I want to get the dragon blood plant, I will need to think of a plan. Although Yi Chen had reached the Sea of Souls realm and had the power of a top spirit warrior, compared to Sun Xiaojin, he might not be as powerful as him. Judging from this, the blood dragon snake's power would definitely not be weaker than his, not to mention that it had the top 10 poison, which would definitely be a powerful ace. After thinking for a while, Yi Chen still could not come up with a good plan. Once a demonic beast reached rank 9, its intelligence would be no different from a normal human being's. So, it would be hard for him to trick it with his cheap tricks. I guess I will have to use my separating shadow flying art to get it. After making up his mind, Yi Chen walked out of the grass and pushed his Jin Yuan to its limit, jumping out into the air. Squeak! 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 The blood dragon snake noticed Yi Chen right away. Its scales opened up, and its body expanded. A purple-green beast chi spread out from its body. Pooh! A poison arrow shot out like lightning. All the plants in its path started to wither, unable to handle the poison chi. Separate! His body was like a shadow as Yi Chen's real body shot out from the shadow and appeared behind the blood dragon snake, right near the dragon blood plant. The blood flood dragon snake's reaction was extremely fast. The scales on its back trembled and fell off. With a tremble in the air, they shot out with crackling sounds. Indeed hard to deal with. Yi Chen did not dare to underestimate the attacking power of the scales. Only his upper body was wearing the top-rank defensive treasure, the gold armor. His limbs and head were not protected at all. Once his protective Jin Yuan was broken, he would definitely be badly wounded. After all, he had only trained his immortal body to the first level, which was flesh recovery. It was not really immortal. Turning shadow. His body turned thin, turning into a shadow as Yi Chen shot out toward the dragon blood plant. Above him, the sound of the scales breaking through the air could be heard. Yi Chen's separating shadow flying art was too amazing. Even if the blood dragon snake had thousands of attacks, it would not be able to stop him in time. It could only move its body and chase after him. Seeing that the dragon blood plant was about to be in his hands, a crystal-like light appeared in the air out of nowhere. It was faintly discernible, looking extremely creepy. Yi Chen sensed it and twisted his body, trying to avoid it. Swoosh! All of a sudden, a hair-thin crack appeared on the ground. At the end of the crack was the location of the dragon blood plant. With a flash of silver light, it stabbed into the soil underneath the plant, digging out the plant along with the soil. The speed was so fast that it was almost beyond Yi Chen's sight. This dragon blood plant, this old man will gladly accept it.